What if the beliefs running your life aren't even yours? I sat down with Kylie Ryan, and her story blew me away, from battling terrifying childhood experiences to transforming her entire life through mindset work. This conversation showed me just how powerful it is to clear the baggage holding us back and step into what we truly are. If you've ever wondered what's really possible when you shift your mindset, this one's a must listen. Welcome to Seekers and Shifters, where we talk to the world's foremost experts in personal growth and development and ask them everything we really want to know. Welcome to Seekers and Shifters. This is Michelle. I am your host, and I'm here with my friend all the way from Australia, Kylie Ryan. Kylie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone. It's awesome to be here, Michelle. It's awesome to talk to you always. Introducing myself. Okay. Well, I'm Kylie. I am a mindset coach, performance coach. I've been doing this for 20 years now, and lean to the mystical, magical side of things, as I know that this podcast kind of leans that way too. But I work with entrepreneurs and coaches and help them to really get focused and unleash their potential, unleash their genius, and share it with the world.
Kylie, selling yourself a little bit short, is a elite high performance coach. That means expensive, but worth it. By the way, Kylie coached me and probably saved my life around 2020 through the pandemic, and the owner of the Spiral method, which I recently got certified in, and have been practicing and love. And so I definitely want to talk about that a little bit. Where do you want to start? Because you're fascinating. Well, let me tell you this. We did a little look up on you yesterday. Me and our friend Ken, we did a little look up on you yesterday. And one of the things that came up when we looked you up was clairvoyant. So let's get real weird. Tell us about being clairvoyant. When did you find out you were clairvoyant, and how does that affect your work?
Well, it's interesting, right? It's when did I find out? Well, I was terrified by it when I was a kid, right? It's like I've always had this kind of extrasensory awareness. And I think it's like there's a great kind of misperception around psychic abilities because, you know, there's a huge range in like different people can do different things, right? And so mine kind of is more clairaudience, clairsentient. I've got my dog here on my lap. That's why I'm making these weird. So she
Makes it real.
So it makes it real. This is my tiny poodle. Like one of those white women that has a tiny poodle.
You are.
I mean, I could only be what I am.
That's right.
So yeah, I kind of, when I was a kid, I used to kind of hear voices, and when I would go to sleep at night, like I used to be terrified to go to sleep because I would get like really bad, horrific nightmares of like what I believe are past lives, but who knows? And they were kind of always quite brutal. And I would hear voices and kind of like, not like hearing someone else's conversation, but more like being a radio antenna and hearing 1,000 things all at once in different languages, like, and so like that was terrifying. And that went on for a few years. And eventually I gathered the courage to tell one of my like teachers about it. And she said to me, bless her, she was like, I don't know, maybe I was 8 or 9 or something. And my teacher said, well, if you don't like the voices that you hear when you go to bed, then just tell them to stop. And I was like, oh, I never thought of that. And so we had a showdown one night, and I was like, stop, you're scaring me. And it stopped. And then, yeah, it kind of like died down. I still would get the night terror, you know, dreams, and still wake up kind of astral traveling and in sleep paralysis and, you know, all of those kinds of things. So yeah, it was kind of terrifying to begin with. And I didn't really have anyone that I could talk to about it. You know, I kind of grew up in a middle class, suburban, not suburban, in a like middle class country area, and had horses and a big back paddock. We had acreage. And so I would just go out in the forest and like talk to the fairies and stuff. I would climb trees and talk to the fairies. And that was like most of my childhood, ride horses and do my weird stuff in my own imagination. And I, used to read a lot of fantasy novels and stuff. And so that like very much programmed my psyche. And so, yeah, that's kind of it. And where does that go? I guess it's like, it's become.
At some point you went from there to being you. Who
I
you
know.
are now.
Well, it's like, it's interesting because it kind of started, what happened was it caused me to feel like I was quite different than regular people, whatever I thought regular person was, I didn't seem to be like them. and so like just in subtle ways, I was kind of a grade A student and I was well liked and I kind of was socially, I could get on socially and stuff. It's not like I was kind of ostracized as some weird kid, but I was pretty nerdy and I could sing. And so there was kind of that aspect, but I kind of never really felt like I fit in. And it really led me to wanting to understand the humans. Wanting to understand the humans.
The others.
The others, yeah. And so I kind of, even when I was, in high school, I was reading like the holographic universe and kind of all these books about like, for years I've tried to practice telekinesis because I was like, I can do this. I can do
like that is a universal experience. I don't care who's listening to this. Like, I don't care if you're completely weird and psychic and alien, or if you're just like a regular person listening to us and be like, what the fuck are these weird people talking to? Every single one of us has tried to move an object with our mind, and like, don't lie to us.
Of course.
Everyone's done it. Everyone's done it. I'm gonna make it move. Yeah, like, I never succeeded, but everybody's tried. I'm convinced.
I practiced for a really long time, and I would read. I used to do a lot of astral traveling as well, and lucid dreaming. So I would wake up in my dreams, and I would be like kind of flying and going to different dimensions and what have you. My husband just thinks I have an overactive imagination, and he's not wrong. He's not wrong. I don't have any problem with that, but it's like, I like the mythic world that I live in. And I know the difference between like tangible 3D reality and the non-physical stuff that is also equally real to me and to other people who also perceive at that level. So it's like, I kind of think of it like, how dogs can hear things that humans can't hear, and like animals, sometimes people just have senses that work on different frequency bands and or a slightly expanded frequency band. And so that's kind of how I make sense of it. But it definitely led me to want to understand people. And so I was singing, and I kind of left high school, and one of my singing teachers, she got involved in NLP, and which is short for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. So I was 23 when I had my first NLP session. So, and that was wild, Michelle, because, at that time, 23, so I'd like left high school, I'd kind of moved out of home, I started partying, and I was like, I was the grade A student that just went like girls gone wild. As soon as I finished my HSC, I'm like, rah, and like turned into like, taking ecstasy, going to nightclubs, lying to my parents. Like, I went full pendulum of good girl, bad girl. And I probably broke my poor father's heart. And it's never really been the same with him, unfortunately.
No.
I fell off my pedestal quite hard. But yeah, so I kind of did that, and I was like I started putting on weight. You know, my parents were divorced, and I kind of ended up counseling them through their divorce when I was about 15.
Oh no.
And right, it was not fun. I
Not
mean,
healthy.
it wasn't bad. Like, it's not like I had a super traumatic childhood, you know, I can't say that, but it wasn't probably the greatest experience to parent my
Maybe not the most
know,
appropriate dynamic.
maybe not the most appropriate thing, but anyway, you know, we all just do our best, and I'm okay with that. You know, everyone's just doing their best. But it's like when I found NLP, like that's the kind of the genesis piece was, you know, I was overeating. I was like 30 kilos, probably 40 kilos heavier than I am right now, but like, you know, quite overweight, very curvy, you know, drinking, partying, going out every night, sleeping around, you know, working, waitressing, doing uni. So I was still like studying really hard, but then I was like wild all the rest of the time. And so I had this NLP session, and in the very first session, we kind of did this, you know, what's really common practice in NLP, detailed personal history, kind of very old school coaching style, like unpack all of your life and then look for the threads. And so we discovered this belief that I had that, you know, I come from a line of very strong women. My mother is a horsewoman. My grandmother was a sailor. She won an Order of Australia medal for patrol, for sea patrol, like for patrolling for lost boats out at sea. And she won the Order of Australia for that. My mother is like a very competent horsewoman, animal kind of person. And so she's like a strong, powerful, independent woman. You know, she had me when she was like 38, which was kind of unheard of at the time. So I come from this long line of strong women, but this belief I had was that no matter how strong you are, a man will always abuse you. And I was like, where did that come from? You know, like when it surfaces, when you surface those beliefs, it's like, whoa, that was programming my unconscious. Holy cow. Right? Oh, no wonder I'm carrying an extra 40 kilos to like push away any, you know, attractive, you know, people that, you know, pushing away any kind of relationship. And so we did a timeline therapy process on that belief when we uncovered it. And that was my first NLP session. And I swear to God, Michelle, it was like my life turned from black and white into color. You know how they do that in those movies? And it's like, oh, the world is different and amazing. And how did I not know this was going on all the time? You know? And so I had this very visceral experience of a belief change, very functionally changing my reality. And so in the years subsequent to that, like we kind of went and did the whole kind of the regular NLP process, clearing anger, sadness, fear, and guilt, clearing a bunch of other beliefs, integrating parts, like we did the whole shebang. And in the year after that, my life transformed. Like I lost 30 kilos. I was like $20,000 in credit card debt. I met the man who is now my husband. We started a band together. I stopped taking drugs and partying every weekend. I then went and got my NLP certificate, you know, so I like totally transformed in just a year after doing that mindset work. And I was like, holy cow, like, this is amazing. And so when I was doing my NLP training, lots of people were kind of asking me, holy cow, like, how did you lose the weight? Like, what happened? Da, 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 da. And so I fell into this niche of weight loss mindset coaching. And I was working at a gym at the time. And so I knew a lot of personal trainers. I was kind of in the fitness industry because I had been fit and trying to lose weight, but couldn't shift it until I shifted my mindset. And so that was my first kind of decade of coaching when I was in my early 20s. I was doing weight loss mindset coaching, and I actually just found one of my like brochures the other day, and it's got so many hundreds and hundreds of testimonials. Thank you, Kylie, you changed my life, this and that. I was like, oh, I remember this. I remember this.
I was like, I changed all of people's lives.
I was quite good at this, doing weight loss coaching. I mean, you know, it always evolves. And so, yeah, that was kind of how I started. And then I got, I kind of got serious with that. And then I eventually did my NLP trainers training. And, you know, my thing with NLP was I didn't want to train NLP until I had enough experience and like real world case studies and like really grasp the material so deeply that I could bring something new to the personal development field. I was like, oh, I don't want to teach it where if I'm just regurgitating exactly what has been taught to me. I want to be able to assimilate it, you know, metabolize it, come up with something useful in the way that I share it. And so, yeah, so a lot of people kind of went through that path. And so, yeah, when I finally started to teach NLP, I did it over like 12 months. I turned it into a like long kind of mastermind thing with events. And like, so I kind of did it quite differently. And I trained NLP for years. And see you, kids. They're going off to school right now. And yeah, so I did that for a while. And then I started the Super Coach Society, which is kind of where we met as well, like in Tucky's mastermind. And then I somehow ended up buying the Spiral, School with May, my business partner in that, because yeah, I see you, honey. I was walking past my door. Yeah, I ended up buying this Spiral School because I came across this modality. Like I'm a learning absolute personal growth junkie. Like, you know, if you look on my website, I've got like the longest list of certifications because I would just like accumulate every year. I'd be like, oh, what am I going to learn this year? What am I going to like just, you know, and to be fair, my business was really just a very expensive personal growth hobby. So I like, I'm making pretty good money, you know, by regular person standards. And I would just be like, oh, that's a business expense. Oh, I could do this. Oh,
yeah. Like I made all this money. So let me go take this $20,000 training and this $10,000. Yeah. Maybe same for me. Yeah.
Maybe same for you. Like my business was very much funding my life and funding my personal growth habit. And, you know, at one point my husband was like, you know, I think it might be cheaper if you were into shoes. And I was like, okay, but I'm growing and I'm evolving and I'm just kind of obsessed with it. And so, yeah, I came across this modality, the Spiral, and it was life-changing again, you know. So like the two things, I've studied a lot of different things from kind of mystical to, you know, straight up kind of coaching. And the two things that really moved the needle for me are the same things that you're trained in, NLP and the Spiral. And if you have a really good, solid NLP training and the Spiral certification, you have got a toolkit to transform people inside their mind, body, energetic system that is kind of, you know, pretty powerful. You know, I haven't come across anything else as powerful as that. Maybe other things, you know, I'm sure other things exist that are wonderful and powerful as well. So, but it's pretty incredible. And so, yeah, I did that for a while. I would guest teach in the Spiral, and then my friend Dane, who started the modality, wanted to do other things. And so he sold it, and I didn't buy it then, but then eventually it ended up in my hands.
It made its way. It
made its way back to me. And it's funny. I was talking to one of the Spiral pracs the other day, and she was like, we all knew that you would take it over, Kylie. We all just knew. It was like, it was
That's
so
obvious. Kind of bitch you are. I'm the same way too. By the way, I'm the same way. I come into something and I'm like, when will this be mine? You know, like when
will this be mine?
Yeah, and the other modality that I'm trained in is Hawaiian Huna. So it's the kind of the trifecta, at least for me, because it's like, well, NLP, we use mentally, like a lot of visualization, a lot of like very, mental process. Hawaiian Huna is very energetic, spiritual practice. And then we have the spiral, which is somatic, right? So we're using the body. So I love that having those triple modalities, because it's, no matter who I'm working with, do you want to work with your mind? Do you want to work with your body? Do you want to just like straight up blast it with energy? Like whatever we need to do, we're going to release it one way or the other. But what you were saying a minute ago,
here. We got
the toolkit. When I very first walked into, into Huna with like 100 something other people, and I mean, same thing, NLP, whatever. I'm just immediately like, they're going to all realize how special I am, right? And they're going to immediately turn around and be like, this one has walked in with the power, has walked in with, and of course that doesn't happen. It did happen to my friend Mo, who I interviewed. They'll be across the room. I was drawn to your energy, and I'm like, what about my
energy?
It is. It's just like I'm here, and you bring this. If you've been a boss of your own thing, and especially if you've created containers like you have and like I have, where you're the boss and you're in authority, and people are coming to learn from you, and then you go into somebody else's container, and you're like, I've arrived with all my knowledge and all. When will I be in charge of this? And I did exactly what you did, which is, okay, how do I learn how to train it? And how do I, and I immediately, like within, I think it was about a year from when I very first went to NLP train, like the first NLP prac training, to when I was certified as a trainer of NLP. Because I was just like, when can I take more classes? How can I learn? My business needs to go on hold for 6 weeks so I can become a trainer, because it's almost like I can't stand being in. I need to be at the top of whatever it is. We can talk about the core wound behind. I actually know, like you said, yours was men are going to hurt me, and mine is I'm worthless if I'm not working hard. So when I did all this NLP breakthrough, we call it breakthrough session here. When I got to the bottom of it, if I'm not working toward it, why do I even exist? So, it's funny how that expresses in our behavior and in the way that we show up. And, well, funny thing, and I want your commentary on this. As personal growth and development junkies, as coaches who coach other coaches, our shit still comes up. I want to make that really, really clear. Our shit still comes up, and there's actually this very frustrating stage where you're like, I know what that is, and I know where it comes from, and it's still expressing. So we talk about, and this stuff can feel and quite is magical in terms of like how much you can release and how quickly. And there's not going to be this moment where you're like, I am now Buddha and all my work is done.
And everything's fine.
You just go to a new level and you get to deeper shit, right?
Yeah, amen. It's like, yes, absolutely. It's really interesting how, I've been doing this now for over 20 years, like very actively doing personal growth as my thing and making it my life, basically, aside from obviously I am a mother and a wife. And so that is also a huge part of my life.
That matters too. Yes.
That matters too. So that is a really important piece to note. But professionally, this is my life. And it's really interesting, like, because you can get a bit hard on yourself sometimes of like, oh, I should know better and blah, blah, blah. And so like that, it's hard sometimes to snap out of it. And I got in a little bit of a funk the other day, and my husband was like, babe, pull yourself together. This is not on brand.
He sounds like a peach, by the way.
He's amazing. He's just what I need. He's just what I need. He keeps me grounded. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Like, snap out of it. Be grateful. So, but yeah, no, it totally, like, stuff still comes up. It's like, it's that classic metaphor, the layers of the onion. And, it's like, you think like, oh, I've peeled so many layers, there's no onion left. But it's, when you get all the way down, it's, I don't know, like a fractal or something. You're like, oh, whole new onion.
new onion under the old onion. Oh, this
New
onion is generational trauma. Oh, this onion is past life trauma.
Right? I'm like, oh, you've dealt with all of the like major stuff from your childhood. Good. Right. Now like take some soul imprints and here, transmute some collective trauma for the world.
That's
So
right.
But you know, it really is a labor of love, and I couldn't not do it. That's the thing. Is like, you know, it does help me. It helps me navigate the world, and you know, being able to use the muscle testing, like self-clearing, and shift my energy. And you know, I think one of the things that is a trap that people can fall into with personal growth, and I certainly did at certain times, is this idea that, you know, you just got to clear all your beliefs and you've got to shift all your stuff and heal all your trauma before you can move forward. And I think that, you know, is something that people often do when they kind of first are introduced to a new thing. And it's like, oh, I'm going to dive into this new thing and I'm going to clear all my stuff.
I'll be fixed in 2 days.
I'll be fixed. It'll be great. It's like, you are not broken. It's okay. This is an ever-evolving experience.
That's right.
But the thing that shifted was this idea that, you know, you only need to clear whatever is in the way of you taking the next step. So I think that is a like really useful framework to kind of to come to, is like, you know, classic NLP, present state to desired state. What is your desired state? What do you want to create in your life? And how do you want to feel? And how do you want to be? And how do you want to show up? And then what is in the way of you doing the next thing that would be the logical step on that pathway? And so I think when we forget to orient like that, and we're just like, I need to heal, we can kind of end up going into this like healing spiral where we're like, can kind of lose track of who we are and what we're doing. But if we go, okay, my goal with this is to be a better mom, is to be a better business person, is to show up in a way that serves and, you know, makes a profit and helps me do good and, you know, live well while I'm doing it. And what is the next step that I need to take for that? And then clear the thing to get to the next step. And it doesn't mean that your direction might not change or shift along the way. As you know, as you get closer to the horizon, sometimes you're like, oh, I thought I wanted to go there, but I actually want to go there. So you know, that can adjust too. But I think that's a really useful piece, is like orienting towards like, what is the tangible reality shift that you want to make? And like, that is like the flagpole of, you know, this is the tangible physical reality shift that I want to make. And what do I need to shift within myself to be the person that can functionally and well live in that reality, you know? And that's just like, of course I'm, you know, 60 kilos rather than 100 kilos. It's like, who do I need to be to shift the person from the 100 kilo version of me to the 60 kilo version of me, or the, you know, $20,000 a month version to me to the $100,000 a month version of me? What do I need to shift internally to be okay with that reality changing externally? And that's kind of a never-ending quest for me.
Well, you know, and what dawned on me after years and years and years of doing this work, because we talk about, oh, who do I want to be and how important identity is, and being instead of trying to do, right? And like, that's one of the first shifts. You know, it's not what do you need to do, it's who do you need to be, right? And we start there. But what blew my mind when I realized it is, no, you already are. You already are that thing. And when we're doing release work, what we're doing is clearing the bullshit that's in the way of you seeing that you already are that thing. You already are the thing that makes $100,000. You already are the most beautiful physical manifestation of yourself, right? You're perfect. You're perfect. And it's this other stuff that gets in the way.
It's like Bonnie.
Oh, shit. Why do I do that? Why do we do that? Well, we do that. And my theory,
tell me.
We do that because otherwise life wouldn't be any fun, right? So when you realize that you're doing it for fun, I realized, oh, I'm creating work for myself because challenge is fun. I need challenge. I don't like to be bored, right? it takes on this whole different dimension of,
Totally.
you know what I mean? Like I'm okay.
I'm
Here's the first time I realized
I'm creating my own suffering.
I'm creating my own obstacles because I need some shit to do. Now we're back to doing, right?
It's fun.
I'm getting in my own way on purpose because otherwise I'd just be laying around being a perfect being all the time. And you know, where's the challenge
in that?
Where this first dawned on me, by the way, because I grew up not having a ton, right? Like very working class, from Oklahoma, for those of you from the States. And I ended up at an Ivy League grad school. Not sure if that translates to Australia, but like a very
sounds
top.
fancy.
It is fancy.
I've watched American movies.
Like
I've watched American movies. It's
where like really rich people go. And like I had never been around all these rich people. When I say rich, I mean people who were born wealthy. Like because this is still early in our lives. I'm in my 20s. And so the vast majority of the people that I went to grad school with were born into quite a bit of money. They had some kind of, people had paid for them to go to school. You know, they were still working their asses off, but they came from money. They had resources. Their family had resources. Their family was sharing resources. Totally different from where I came from, where it was like, you make it on your own, and we all do that or you don't, that's how it goes. And one thing that struck me, because I always thought, well, when I get rich, I'm going to spend my time, at the Ritz with getting a massages. And by the way, I do.
Isn't it nice?
I did get rich and I do that. But these folks that I went to school with, they would spend their money going and say, oh, I'm going to go hike in Patagonia and I'm going to be, freezing, or I'm going to go on Outward Bound and like literally shit in a bucket for a week. And I was like, why are these rich people doing these things? And it dawned on me, it's like, because there's only so much like laying around the Ritz-Carlton that a person can do before they go, there's got to be more to life. And so you see this, people get successful and they start going, like, I'm going to learn how to climb Mount Everest, or I'm going to, the billionaires, right? I'm going to go to space.
Where else is there? Like, I'm conquering this whole planet. Like, let's go to space.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when you realize how much of the challenge you're creating, and by the way, we know how privileged this sounds. Both of us know this as we're saying this. We are not talking about people who have to get on the bus to go to 3 different jobs, that they're creating their own hardship. Okay. That is like, please do not hear it that way. I'm talking about anybody, no matter who you are, you have shit from your past that pops up and gets in your way. Right. And you have, as you're saying, Kylie, like you have the resources to get to the next level for you.
What is
by getting out of your own way. And it's not always like jumping from I'm making, $9 an hour to I'm making $100,000 a month. Obviously.
That's not how it works.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But do you have the resources to go from $9 an hour to $15 an hour? Absolutely. And then 15 to 30 and then to a salaried job and then to your own business. Absolutely.
Yes. There are
as long as
if
you're following the step and you're getting out of your own way. Right.
Yeah. Amen. I think it's really important to recognize that. And yeah, there is a lot of privilege in my upbringing, and, just kind of being white and symmetrical and,
white and symmetrical.
That's a really great advantage
one of
in
those
life.
2 things.
You're symmetrical too.
Well, we'll go with that. For the listeners, you can pretend. For the watchers, you can see.
Stop it. Don't be silly. But it's like, it's interesting how much we don't see our privilege until we're faced with something that is a really strong contrast to it. And, it's obviously there are huge, some people start this journey with a hell of a lot in their favor, and some of people kind of have to claw their way to zero. And so I think that's a really important point to just be aware of. And there is a little bit of magical thinking that is touted in the mindset and personal growth world of like, oh, you just need like one mindset shift and your whole life changes and everything's amazing. And like, yes, that it is possible, but like that's the outlier result. And the person that has one mindset shift and suddenly has a complete life change probably has a lot of support and privilege and stuff like going on in the background as well. So
well, absolutely. Yeah. And it's totally, you're talking to someone who started my career working at McDonald's.
Me too.
I mean, It's like
Donald.
1 in 7 workers, by the way.
Of the month.
1 in 7 workers started their career at McDonald's. Fun fact. Very, very common. But, I think I was making $4.15 an hour, $4.15 an hour in American money at the time. It was the 90s. I cried when I got my first paycheck because I had worked for 2 full weeks and it was like $80. And I was like, I can put enough gas in my car to keep going to this job at McDonald's, right? That's where it started. It took me 20 years to go from there to somebody who I would say, oh yeah, now I can go to the Ritz and get massages and, whatever, right? Had the $100,000 months, it took me till like 2018 was the first year that I had like $100,000 month in my business. So that's a long ass time, right? But as someone who went from one place to the other, I can tell you this is a possible thing to do, right? And so it's where do we meet?
What else are you going to do? Like, why not? Why not shoot for the stars, right?
Don't believe me. Just watch. Wait, you're going to see some shit. You're going to watch me. Y'all are going to be like, look what she was doing 5 years ago. She was doing this little content that 51 people had subscribed to.
Everyone starts at zero, right? Everyone
starts at zero and everything starts at zero. We're joking about the 51 subscribers. I think we've been doing this about 6 weeks now. Right? Like I've started other things from zero and grown them really big. So now I know. So now I have the faith in myself that I can start something now. And I know it's only going to have 50 subscribers 6 weeks in, and I'm going to keep doing it for a year. And in a year, we're going to have a couple thousand. And then, 5 years, maybe we blow up at some point. But you have to be willing to put one foot in front of the other and kind of go on faith for a while with anything new. And that's a muscle that I train entrepreneurs, right? Like that's a muscle that we build. We build that faith muscle in there. Because otherwise you're just looking at if you just look at what you have now and you're like, whatever I have now, that's the peak, that's the pinnacle. Well, God, what a depressing way to live, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you've got to have the vision, and then the vision sustains you. But I think the other piece is like people kind of sometimes maybe get into this type of industry sold on the laptop lifestyle dream and thinking, I'm going to instantly go viral. I'm going to instantly be like a, internet influencer making 100K months. And I'm going to just chill out in my bikini and hang out by the beach in my Bali villa. And, and I mean, that happens. There's a whole culture of that. But you've got to love it. The people that really make it in this industry are the people who just genuinely love it and couldn't do anything else. It's like I used to joke that I'm like, I am unemployable. I am way too opinionated. I am way too opinionated for anybody else to be my boss. I couldn't do anything else. And I mean, obviously I could, but I don't want to. And that's the thing. And so it's like, if you genuinely love the journey and you've only got 51 subscribers, but hey, you get to talk to me and I get to talk to you and we get to have this fun conversation.
This is fun.
We get to call it work and make it tax deductible.
And
what's not to
we
love?
See what happens. I mean, I know what I want for this and I know what's going to happen with this, and it's going to be in the tens of thousands of people that watch and listen to this every day. And they will be, some of them will be looking back and seeing these episodes that we did right now. And so I take it that seriously.
Hey, future people. Michelle's
came in the future. Yeah.
I love it.
Hello from the best. Hello from the best. Yeah. But holding that vision. And this is one of the things I love to do in NLP, right? Is that we help people envision and just really richly see, hear, and feel where they want to be. And people come out of that. That is the first time we ever do that with them. People come out of that transformed, because once you can see it, it's almost like it has to happen. Like your brain isn't going to let it go until that happens. And so when you allow yourself to just get into your ideal reality, when you realize that you can shift into it like that, just immediately, that's when your whole life changes. And that's when, what I realized, what you realized, oh my God, I have to spend the rest of my life preaching the gospel of this. I have to spend the rest of my life doing this with and for other people. I have to help other people transform. And I don't care if everyone listening to this thinks I am a nutbag. It doesn't matter, because I have experienced this firsthand. I have experienced this with hundreds and probably thousands of clients at this point, and I need to spend the rest of my life doing this, teaching other people how to do this for themselves and for others. And like, I can't spend my life any other way, right?
Amen. It's like, it really becomes, it is a spiritual path. It's like, I was thinking about, you know, the podcast that I'm like recording as well. And I was like, oh, maybe I should do an episode of like why you shouldn't start personal growth. Because once you get on and you realize that you create your reality, it's like, okay. Or like, I can change my reality, or I can change things. And once you get a glimpse of that agency and that ability to kind of to become a sovereign being, right? And, you know, not in terms of monarchy, but in terms of like being in charge of your own reality and making your way in the world. Once you kind of realize that and you get a taste of that, it's like, oh, okay, well, I kind of can't blame things anymore and believe it. You know, I kind of can't go, oh, the power is all out there, you know, in the economy or in the this or in the that, and go and really believe it, because I know that there is a part of me that has the power to make a change. And whether it's a small change or a big change, I have that power. And that is not a power over, that is a power to, right? It's a power within that allows you to do things and to shift things and to change. And that is intoxicating, and it's beautiful because it helps you to become your best self, and it helps you to like create beautiful relationships with people. And, you know, it helps you to shift your life and then be able to help others. And like, what is more meaningful and rewarding than to be able to live a, you know, beautiful life, however you define that, or whatever your parameters for that are, and to be able to give back in a meaningful way to others. Like, what's not to love? You cry a bit along the way, and
like a little bit. I might cry 5 times a day. That's just like one of those prescription ads. Might cause
tears, sobbing in the shower occasionally, but you know, it's
daily maybe, but that's okay. It's
in some chapters, but not every chapter. Not every chapter you're crying every day.
Some chapter do we cry every day? Sometimes we got to feel it to heal it. You know, it's part of it. But it cracks you open. It cracks you open, and I used to pray that prayer, like, dash me against the rocks, crack me open. Go ahead, because what's inside is beautiful. And what's inside is powerful. And we talk about, you know, we were talking about this yesterday. It's hard to be soft, right? What's inside, what's ooey gooey, what's vulnerable is the essence of who you are, is the beautiful part about you. When you get cracked open enough to let that shine all the time, you're magnetic, you're unstoppable. And you give other people the permission to access their beauty, their power, because all of us have this within us, this beautiful piece. A lot of us only show it to the people just closest to us. But what happens when you show it broad, wide, right? I grew up in the Bible Belt. Hide your light under a bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine. Right? Grew up on that. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, because it allows everybody else to let it shine. Yeah. And it puts you in service.
It totally does.
And that's the highest calling that there can be. So, hey, we're happy to be in service. I'm in service. Kylie's in service. If you want to talk to either of us, Kylie, where can people find you if they want to talk to you?
If they want to talk to me, well, probably I'm redoing my website, and like, because I have so many different business ideas all the time, I'm finally consolidating it into a personal brand website. So you can find me at KylieRyan.com, where I will link to all my other websites shortly.
I'm in the process of doing the same thing. KylieRyan.com. And if you want to have conversations like this with us and other people like us, weirdos and folks that are in service, come hang out with us in Seekers Club, seekersclub.org. You can join. it's a nominal fee per month just because there is a cost to this shit. We have to administer this shit, but we're hanging out in there all the time, having a great time. Kylie's in there, I'm in there. So please come hang out with us. Kylie, amazing to talk to you. We got to do this again sometime, as always. And I'm looking forward to hanging out with you very soon in person. Kylie and I get to meet in person for the first time after years and years and years, here in a couple of weeks. It's gonna be so fun. Everybody that's watching and listening, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Bye.
See you next time.